This video, the 8th in a series of videos based on my book Critiquing the Date of Mahabharata done by Mr. Nilesh Oak, is titled as Did Nilesh Oak Solve the Mystery of Arundhati? Earlier, in the first video, I proved etymologically, conceptually and scientifically why Arundhati could have never gone ahead of Vasishtha. In the second video, I have proved why the Arundhati observation fails to be a falsifier in the scheme of Karl Popper's falsificationist methodology. In the current video, I am going to disprove the claims made by Mr. Nilesh Oak that he has demystified the mystery of Arundhati. Mr. Nilesh Oak has produced a video showing the movement of the two stars Arundhati and Vasishtha crossing the screen for different time periods. And this particular clipping is taken out from that video for his date of Mahabharata, that is on 5561 BCE. Here he shows Vasishtha and Arundhati one below the other, with Arundhati crossing the meridian first, and he claims by this the astronomy observation given by Vyasa is proved that Arundhati had gone ahead of Vasishtha. What does Vyasa say about this? Shall we see the verse? The verse says, Ya Chaisha Vishruta Rajam Strailokye Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Taya Playesha Vasishtha Prishtha Kritaha. Vasishtha Prishtha Kritaha is the main word. Without any discussion on this, Mr. Nilesh Oak has given his own meaning in the book as follows. He has written, My dear king, Arundhati, saintly wife of Vasishtha, who is revered by the righteous all over the three worlds, has left her husband Vasishtha behind. What does Prishtha mean? Without knowing or establishing the true meaning of the word Prishtha in the verse Vasishtha Prishtha Kritaha, it is not possible to know what the verse exactly conveys. Very often we come across Mr. Nilesh Oak claiming that it means that Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha. He has written in too many places in his book that Arundhati was ahead of Vasishtha. Does Prishtha mean ahead of, or in front of, or before? And another version that he is giving is that Arundhati was to the west of Vasishtha. In his book he has written that when he checked the simulator, it was found that Arundhati was found at the west of Vasishtha. So by going to the west of Vasishtha, she is going ahead of Vasishtha, and that is what is conveyed by this verse, he says. But did Vyasa mean so? He used the word Prishtha, and does Prishtha mean ahead of or west of? Suppose Vyasa wants to convey that she went ahead of Vasishtha, he could have used the proper word there, like Agram Charati. And for west also, he could have used the proper word, Paschima something. But he has used only Prishtha there. When we checked with the Vedic Pandits, they are giving us many Vedic passages where this Prishtha appears to convey the meaning behind or back. Mr. Nilesh Oak would say, yes, it means behind or back. But the interpretation or the implication of the verse is that when somebody is behind or at the back, it means the other is in front of. That is what I have said. He would say that. Let us see whether that kind of interpretation is true. Within the Mahabharata text, we come across the word Prishtata, Prishtata Krita, Prishtata Kritva in quite a few places that helps us to decipher what it conveys. Here I am showing a verse given by Bhishma while he was giving the advice to the Pandavas after the war was over. Here he says how the army should be arranged in the case of a war. In that context he says, Saptarishi Prishtata Kritva Yudhyeranna. That is, by keeping the Saptarishis or the constellation of Ursa Major behind them, the troops should fight, taking up their stand like hills, Achalaiva. By this, one may vanquish even foes that are irresistible. That is, by keeping the Saptarishis at the Prishtha, one should fight or stand up like a hill. The hill doesn't move. That means the army that is keeping Saptarishis at the back should just stand there, should not move away from that position. That position should be retained. Only then they can vanquish their foes. So here it means that Saptarishis were at their behind or at the back of the troop. And there is yet another verse about the Pandava army itself on the first day. When they have taken up their position in the battlefield, it is said that Shukro Vayu Prishtata Pandavanam. The context it also says the Pandavas are facing the eastern direction with the Shukra, that is Venus, and Vayu at their Prishtha, at their back. What does all this mean? Let me illustrate the verse given by Bhishma on Saptarishi Prishtata Kritva. These are the directions, east and west, and north and south. And here I am placing the Saptarishis in the north. And the army should be positioned here. Only then this position fulfills the verse Saptarishim Prishtata Kritva. It is at the back of the army. So this is the front side, and the army will be shooting their weapons towards the south. Suppose we assume that Kauravas are there on the southern side. This is the best possible position according to Bhishma by keeping Saptarishis at the Prishtha. And there is another verse also that says that Vayu should be at the Prishtha. So this should also mean back or behind the army, because only if the Vayu is flowing or blowing from the backside, it will give momentum to the weapons that they are shooting, and the weapons can go faster than expected. So that will give an advantage to the army that has Vayu at the Prishtha. So at the back. This is the combination of the back. And now I am looking at another combination given in another context where it says the sun also should be at the back of the army. So you can imagine here, suppose the army moves or aligns itself into this kind of direction and the sun is rising in the east, then the advantage that it has is that it won't be looking at the sun directly, whereas the opponents who are on the other side will have some problem looking at them because of the brightness of the sun. So it is always better to have sun at the back. And another combination also is there. Sun at the back in the west also. This was the combination that existed on the 14th day when Arjuna took revenge on Jayadratha. When he was not able to win over Jayadratha, what did Krishna do? We read from the Mahabharata text that he just made an illusion out of his discourse, and he made the sun to disappear. That made people think the sun has set. Only if the sun is behind one's army, at the Prishtha of one army, they can create any illusions at the back of their army. That is between the sun, between the sky, that is between the horizon and here. They can make any illusions that the other side, the opponent who are far away on the opposite side, they will not be knowing what is happening at the back of the army, and they will be just believing what they see. So you create a smoke. You hide the sun by creating a smoke. So they think the sun is gone, sun has set. That is what had happened on the 14th day. And anytime you want to clear the smoke, you can do it at the back of the army, because in the commotion in the battlefield, no one will be knowing what is happening at the back of the army and of the opponent. So the same technique was used by Krishna on that day, on the 14th day, that they had somehow made an illusion to hide the sun, and they removed the illusion and the sun started appearing. So this is an advantage. The point is, it should be at the Prishtha. Sun should be at the Prishtha. Again, Venus should be at the Prishtha, it says. And this can be understood only if you know a dosha or yoga in astrology, which is known as Pratishukra Bhauma Buddha dosha. Suppose the Venus, Shukra, appears at west, people should not go to the southern side. If they go, it constitutes a dosha, there will be problem. And south is always associated with the abode of Yama or death. In a battlefield, nobody would go into the southern direction. So when you have Saptarishis at the Prishtha, naturally you will be forcing your enemies to the southern side, which they will not like. And when Venus is at your Prishtha, Venus can appear either in the east or the west, and in the battlefield or any daytime, only in the western side Venus can be there. In the sunset, after sunset or even before sunset, it starts appearing, and people knows that Venus is at the back or Venus is in the west. But when you are pushing them from the western or northwestern or northern direction, the enemy would not like to go to the south, but you will be pushing them to the south, and by which you can have a psychological advantage over them, because people will be too scared of going to the south. So this kind of explanations are given here to show or impress upon the point that Prishtha conveys a specific alignment of somebody behind. Here the sun is behind at the Prishtha, or Venus is behind, or the Saptarishis are behind. So Prishtha does mean a specific alignment between two entities. Now let us apply the Prishtha alignment to Vasishtha and Arundhati in the Saptarishi Mandala. What you are seeing here is the Saptarishi Mandala as it appears today when it is crossing the meridian above the NCP. And you are seeing the Vasishtha Arundhati here. The entire constellation is in the forward motion when it is crossing in this position, and Vasishtha is always in the forward motion only. And this alignment can be reproduced in this Prishtha alignment. V for Vasishtha, A for Arundhati. Today they appear like this, and Arundhati is at the Prishtha. And in 5561 BCE, that is the Mahabharata date of Mr Nilesh Oak, the same Saptarishi Mandala was appearing in a different position where it crossed the meridian. It was not horizontal as it is today. It is because at that time the ecliptic was a little oblique, and we were looking at the Saptarishi Mandala from an oblique angle. That is why it is looking upright. In that position, this is the alignment of the two. That is, once again, Arundhati is at the Prishtha of Vasishtha only. Even though she has changed position from there to here, it was at the Prishtha only. Suppose Vasishtha is at the Prishtha of Arundhati, how would it appear? Let us see that also. It would appear like this, or here, with Vasishtha at the Prishtha of Arundhati, only that they have interchanged their positions. This is what Vyasa had seen when he was looking at that constellation on that particular day. The top two are the normal alignment. What appears normally with Vasishtha in the front and Arundhati at the Prishtha seem to have changed their positions is what the verse conveys by Vasishtha Prishtatakrataha. So this kind of interchanging the position can happen only for a few minutes for certain scientific reasons, but cannot be an everlasting or an event going on for 6,000 years. Let us check the Arundhati Vasishtha alignment of who is at the Prishtha of whom from the clippings of Mr Nilesh Oak's video itself. This particular clipping is from his video for the first day of Mahabharata war, that is 5561 BCE. You are seeing Vasishtha and Arundhati crossing the meridian in the picture. But who is at the Prishtha of whom? Only Arundhati is at the back of Vasishtha. That you can make out from the picture that I have given on right top. Now you are checking for the last year of the so-called epoch of Arundhati. Here you are seeing both Vasishtha and Arundhati crossing together, but let them cross together. But who is at the Prishtha of whom? Only Arundhati is at the Prishtha of Vasishtha. Checking for the other years, in the year 6000 BCE, Arundhati continued to be at the Prishtha of Vasishtha. The same was the case in 7000 BCE and 8000 BCE, and 9000 BCE and 10,000 BCE. Both were crossing, but Arundhati was always at the Prishtha of Vasishtha only. And for the first year of the so-called epoch of Arundhati of Mr Nilesh Oak, that is 11,091 BCE, look at the position. Both of them were crossing the meridian. Let them. But who was at the Prishtha of whom? Only Arundhati was at the Prishtha of Vasishtha and not vice versa. We have to satisfy the verse of Vyasa in Mahabharata that Arundhati kept Vasishtha at her Prishtha. But nowhere in the video produced by Mr Nilesh Oak are we seeing that Vasishtha was kept at the Prishtha of Arundhati. On the other hand, we continue to see Arundhati at the Prishtha of Vasishtha only, which means the so-called demystification of the mystery of Arundhati that Mr Nilesh Oak claims is only an illusion, is false. He has not proved this verse by Vyasa. By this it is known that what Vyasa has shown was only a very short-lived phenomenon or a temporary or transient phenomenon. If it was a long-lasting phenomenon, that would have appeared in his sophisticated Voyager software, but his Voyager simulator is not showing Vasishtha at the Prishtha of Arundhati is what we are seeing here. Applying the same position of the two stars as shown by Mr Nilesh Oak in his video, let me reproduce or show how it looked for the year 5561 BCE, that is the year of Mahabharata war, in Mr Nilesh Oak's scheme. This is the meridian and the NCP and the circumpolar circle. We cannot miss out this point. This is how an observer in Hastinapur would have seen in the year 5561 BCE. The NCP will be there and the two stars were rotating. The Saptarishi Mandala was rotating around the NCP. And this is a position that Mr Nilesh Oak has shown, in which the Arundhati continues to be in the Prishtha position only. 6 hours later, they crossed the meridian. This is how Mr Nilesh Oak shows, and he says that Arundhati went ahead. No, it is not going ahead. When they are going as a pair and in a particular alignment of Arundhati as the Prishtha, this is how it appeared. 6 hours later, once again the alignment continued. One may say that Vasishtha was ahead here and at meridian Arundhati was ahead, doesn't matter. What the verse says is about the Prishtha position of Vasishtha. Here Arundhati only continues to be at the Prishtha. 6 hours later, this is how they appear. Would anyone in the right sense of mind say that Vasishtha was at the Prishtha of Arundhati? If one says so, today also it is happening. Would we say that Vasishtha is at the Prishtha of Arundhati today? No. This kind of changing in the appearance happens when the pair is moving around in a circle. But they continue to retain their alignment with reference to each other, in which Arundhati is always at the Prishtha and the forward movement is always from Vasishtha only. As a result, we say that Arundhati has always remained at the Prishtha of Vasishtha, and whatever Vyasa has noticed could only be a transient phenomenon and not a permanent one. Not a single frame of the video uploaded by Mr Nilesh Oak in support of the AV observation shows Vasishtha at the Prishtha of Arundhati. Those who have seen his video fully or in parts that I have shown here would now know that Vasishtha was never at the Prishtha position of Arundhati. But that was the formal requirement as per Vyasa's statement, if one has to take it as an astronomy observation. When he has not shown Vasishtha at the Prishtha of Arundhati, how can Mr Nilesh Oak claim that he has demystified the mystery of Arundhati? Until we meet for the next video, goodbye.